Hey, BassGeek here, and no matter if it's pre-spawn, spawn, or post-spawn, the Wacky rig dominates spring fishing. But how many Wacky rig worms do bass see day in and day out this time of year? And I mean, not even to mention the rest of the year. So fishing geeks, I'm going to show you your new favorite Wacky rig bait, and it's going to get you more bites than those standard worms ever did. So let me show you when, where, how, and what to fish this bait on so you'll catch more fish. So when is the right time to throw a Wacky rig? I think it would be a better question and easier to answer if we said when is the wrong time to throw a Wacky rig, because it would be pretty much never. Now, mind you, the lakes that I fish are extremely deep and extremely clear. And Wacky rigs, because that it's extremely clear, it's a great way to go catch bass. But there are certain times, let's say the dead of winter, probably not going to throw a Wacky rig. So let's talk about the spring, since we're talking about pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn. For me, it's really going to kick off once we get up into those mid-50s. Those bass are going to pull up there, and I may have to put a little bit of weight on it when they're right in those early mid-50s, 53, 54, 55, to get it down there to them. But even then, a Wacky rig is going to be deadly. Or the weighted version of a Wacky rig, which is a neko rig, which this little bait is great at also. And from there until I get to midsummer, when these bass are actually out in open water and they're feeding on shad, or they're out on the deep ledges, even then, a Wacky rig has its place. And I love to throw this particular Wacky rig with a little bit of weight in open water for open water schoolers. Believe it or not, they will crush these hairy baits when we do that. So where are you going to throw this during the spring? Well, it's going to start, like I said, right around the mid-50s. And when that happens, I'm looking at the mouths of creeks, maybe just outside on those bluff ends, or just outside on the main lake leading into those, and we're just going to follow them in till they spawn and follow them back out through post spawn. Now, believe it or not, a Wacky rig can even be great around the shad spawn if you're throwing a shad color. Trust me, geeks, it will get you destroyed. This is the two-way from Raid Japan. This color right here is, and I'm probably going to butcher some of these names, but this is Kozeri, and it's one of my go-to colors. Now, I've picked up several colors, but first I want to talk to you about this little bait. Now, there's a ton of ways to rig them. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but what makes this bait special is that it's really designed to be a Wacky rig bait. Now, they make two different types of this. One of them that will float. Every one of them that I'm going to show you today floats. They are not the silicone style, like stretchy Elastec style rubber. They just don't have salt in them or sand. These are what I guess we would classify as a hairy bait. But this is an incredible action little bait. Now, you can rig it a ton of different ways. You can rig it as a neko and it's incredible. You can Wacky rig it. You can tear these apart and do a finesse Ned. You can Ned rig them just as is right here. So there's a ton of ways to do this. But to Wacky rig it, you do generally need to have either a heavier hook to get it to sink or some sort of weighted hook. And what makes this bait unique, number one, is the ball in the middle. It's basically the same bait on two sides. It's just got a nice little ball in the middle. It's actually got a flat side, so this side is flat. This side has got a nice sort of concave belly to it. It's got a few ribs in it, so it's going to displace a lot of water. It's got a lot of little legs. They're very fine. They get a lot of action out of them. And like I said, you can fish this a ton of different ways. Now, they come in a few different sizes and a bunch of different colors. I'll show you some of the ones that I've got. I've got to pick up a few others and some other colors. But like I said, this is Kozari. So I'm going to run through the sizes. They start with a pretty big one they call the Magnum two-way. The next size is the big 2-way, and this is a good all-around size. And for you BFS and you really ultra finesse times, and when it gets really tough and you just need to get some fish in the boat, you have the little 2-way. And if you're fishing for bass, crappie, panfish, pretty much anything that swims, you've got the micro 2-way. All right, so let me start showing you the colors. We're gonna start with the micro. This is dark cinnamon blue flake. This little color right here is a good one. It's stealth fish. And I can promise you I'm butchering this. This is Tanagi something or other. This little color, which I've got to get in the bigger sizes, is green pumpkin seed. Great little color, got a little translucent to it. This is ghost shrimp. Great color right here, scuppernog. And last but not least, probably one of my favorite colors right here. This is in the Magnum. This is sandfish. Geeks, by the way, everything's going to be down in the description. Look, we don't do memberships or anything like that because we love to keep things free for each and every one of you out there. So if you want to find a way to support us, and we get asked this quite a bit, just use the links down in the description. They go to Tackle Warehouse. If you're going to buy from Tackle Warehouse anyway, just use those links or scan this code. And it doesn't cost you an extra dime, but it does help us out, and we appreciate that. So for me, I do love when I'm bottom bouncing or fishing baits like this, a wacky rig, a little more expensive rod, a rod that is a little more sensitive. And that's what's great about the X Matrix from Douglas. And this is, you guys have seen me talk about this 100 times. It's one of my favorite rods from them. It's a 7'4" medium fast action. Has some incredible feel to it. And I've got that paired with the Daiwa Exceller. So far, this has been a great little reel for me. And of course, we've got it paired up with the Canine Pink, especially this time of year during the spring with all the pollen on the water. I can see this line much better than even the High Vis Yellow. But this is the pink casting line, and we've got it with Pro 100. We got an 8-pound. Depending on if we're fishing around some cover, we can go up to 12. But right now we got it with 8-pound test. So I'm always a big believer in the rule of 3. And that generally tends to be how I fish a wacky rig. Now, rarely do I ever drag one on the bottom. This little bait, of course, from Raid, the 2-way, you can drag it on the bottom. Now, I prefer to do that with, say, a Ned rig, or you can even put this on a shaky head. I know I didn't mention that earlier, but, you know, it is what it is, fishing geeks. But here's the deal. When it comes to retrieve, the rule of 3 is kind of what I like, especially with a wacky rig. So I'm going to cast it out there, and generally, I'm going to cast this bait, or any wacky rig, right to the edge of visibility. So if I can see a foot down into the water, I'm going to cast it a foot to 2 foot off the bank, so on and so forth. Now I'm going to let it sink to the bottom, and I'm just going to give it 2 to 3 twitches up. Like I said, the rule of 3, 1, 2, 3. Not moving my rod tip a lot, just pop, pop, pop. And then I'm going to let it sink. And I'm going to repeat that all the way down until I feel like we're pretty close to being back in the boat. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm 45 in the bank so that I'm working that down, especially early in the spring, a little bit deeper. That way I'm going to find out exactly what depth they're in. And then once I know what depth they're in, I'm just going to eliminate fishing the other depths because it's a waste of time. I'm going to pull my boat over and I'm going to make that cast on that contour line in that depth area. I'm going to be done with it. We're going to catch a bunch of fish. Now, as far as hook set goes, it's a spinning rod. Come straight up over your head, set the hook. Now, like I've said, I had somebody comment in the comment section below, and I'm not picking on you. I love you fishing geeks, and this is maybe something that maybe you don't know. Now, I always try to crank down and get my rod tip down, and the reason why I do that is because the most likely scenario of you losing a bass is when they come up and shake their head out of the water and they jump. You know, we were fishing today and we lost one doing that. So It happens. So I 45 the straight up hook set and I reel down. I'm not giving them slack. I'm not dropping my rod tip. I'm reeling down and I'm keeping that rod tip close to the water, but I'm keeping that rod bowed up. I'm letting that rod do its job. And that's what's great about the X Matrix from Douglas. It's going to keep that pressure on those bass. Now, as I always say, make sure your drag's set right. Make sure everything's good to go. Get them to you. Don't bow hop them. Spinning rod, I got 8-pound test on. Get down there, get a net, or get your thumb in their mouth. Single hook bait. Shouldn't have any problem, but please be careful as always. Now, I could send you to the first Wacky video that was ever done on YouTube by this guy. But what I'd rather send you to is the one that we did that really talked about how to rig a whole bunch of different dice baits that we did just last fall. So if you want to check that video out, go check it out right here. Otherwise, questions, comments in the comment section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell. Be part of the 100% Watch Squad. And you geeks rock.